Last time he was at Phoenix, Christopher Bell said this.
I feel cheated out of a chance to compete for a championship.
Since then, Bell has been on a Jordan-esque run. You might say he took what happened at Martinsville personally. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. 2 NASCAR races at Phoenix Raceway this weekend. 2 side-by-side finishes, one a little rougher than the other. Joe Gibbs Racing gets the sweep. So much to get to tonight. First points race of the season at a non-super speedway, non-road course. First time seeing the softer option tires used at Phoenix Raceway. And the first time, literally in years, Ryan Blaney didn't score a top 5 finish. We have lots of drivers to talk about, so many storylines, so many things that happened, but I want to begin with the finish. How good is Christopher Bell right now? Wins at a super speedway, Atlanta, backs that up with a road course win in Austin, Texas, now a short flat short flat ovals have kind of been his bread and butter over the years. 3rd Cup Series win in a row. First Cup driver to win 3 straight races since Kyle Larson in 2021. We know how that year turned out for driver number 5. Christopher Bell leading the final restart, 2 laps to go, best car all day, led the most laps. But now Denny Hamlin is on his outside. His teammate, veteran, looking for his first points-paying win in almost a year. Said after the race, hadn't been in clean air all day, but you could see that 11 car come to life in the closing laps as he got closer and closer to the front. Bell, Hamlin, side by side, Kyle Larson third wheeling, playing a role. Door to door, it looks like Bell has Hamlin clear. No, Denny gasses it up, gets back to his right rear quarter. Heading into 3 and 4 for the final time. Bell overdrives it a tad, drifts up the track, pushes Denny Hamlin out of the groove. They race back to the line, door to door. Bell, Hamlin, Larson, 1, 2, 3. Great stuff. I think Fox said second closest Cup Series finish in Phoenix Raceway history. I saw very little wrong with what Christopher Bell did to Denny Hamlin. He used him up a bit, for sure. Denny Hamlin should take note, and next time he's racing Christopher for the win, he shouldn't give his teammate an inch. But today's finish between Bell and Hamlin was far cleaner than yesterday's Xfinity Series finish between Almirola and Bowman. Eric Almirola went into 3 and 4 and admitted that he was going to use up Alex Bowman a bit, and use him up he did, basically stuffed him in the fence. I get it, you're going for the win, but if I'm the rest of the Xfinity Series field, I'm not giving Eric Almirola the benefit of the doubt the rest of this season. You saw how far he's willing to push it to get a race victory. I don't think what Bell did today rises to that level. But I know people are going to talk about it because last weekend, Christopher Bell was at the center of what everyone called a very clean, sportsmanlike finish. Bell, Busch, Byron, Elliott all raved after Coda about how aggressive but respectful the racing last weekend was. Bell even said after the race that it's important he maintains a clean racer reputation. He pushed the issue today at Phoenix, no doubt, ran his teammate up a little wide, but he didn't wreck him, didn't stuff anyone into the fence. To me, that was really hard racing. 2 drivers side by side coming to the line. Christopher Bell had earned the preferred lane by being the race leader when the caution came out, selecting the preferred line. He used that line to his advantage, but never fully used up or wrecked his teammate to get the win. Denny Hamlin shouldn't give Bell an inch next time, but I didn't think the finish to today's race was dirty by any means. That was just fantastic short track stock car racing. Big picture for Christopher Bell. When he won this race 1 year ago, I sat right here in this chair, in this exact same spot, and said, Christopher Bell is the championship favorite. I'm not going to say that this time because it is too early to make any definitive playoff championship takes. But certainly, Christopher Bell, 3 wins in 4 races, 3 very different track types. He is at the top of his game. He's now 30 years old. He's experienced, has a 2-time champion crew chief working with him in Adam Stevens. Chris Gabehart, I think, is brilliant, and he's no longer just working on the 11. He's overseeing all of Joe Gibbs Racing's competition department. Advantage Bell. The stars are aligning right now for this to be a huge year for Team 20. 3 wins on the board already, and they're just getting started. Remember how good Christopher Bell was at Las Vegas last fall? That's where we head in 7 days. What I love about Christopher Bell is that he's led Joe Gibbs Racing on the stat sheet for 3 years now. Wins, top 5 points finishes, but now he's becoming a more vocal leader. He's willing to get out in front of the camera. I played that clip. He's willing to speak his mind. I don't know if y'all watched the FS1 pre-race show, but when Chris Myers and Jamie McMurray were doing their grid walk, they walked right past Christopher Bell to talk to Denny Hamlin. And Bell jokingly said, "Oh wow, y'all are walking right past me, huh?" Seriously, I've been the guy at Joe Gibbs Racing for 3 years now. Not only is Christopher Bell confident behind the wheel, but he's confident on camera, behind the microphone. He's becoming a vocal leader, not only within his team, but really for stock car racing more broadly. We saw how happy he was this offseason, getting to race dirt once again, winning the Tulsa shootout in his home state of Oklahoma. Christopher Bell is on a heater right now. Ever since those comments he made in November after what happened at Martinsville, Phoenix cheated out of a championship, Christopher Bell has been blazing hot. Shades of Kyle Larson in 2021. I'll leave it at that. All right, real quick, before we look at the finishing results, I want to talk about the option tire that made its Phoenix Raceway debut. I love it. I love that over the past 6 months or so, Goodyear has been willing to get aggressive. NASCAR gave Goodyear a daunting task. Hey, you know this next-gen car we rushed through development and designed with several notable flaws? Yeah, we need you to build a soft enough tire that masks those issues, especially at the short tracks and road courses. Well, you know what? Really, especially since Richmond late last summer, since the option tires were used there, the short tracks and road courses have been pretty sporty. Martinsville last fall looked kind of like old Martinsville. Remember, Ryan Blaney drove from like 10th to 1st in the final run to win that race. Was not possible the first few trips there with the next-gen car. Goodyear gets most of the credit. And today at Phoenix, the softer option tire, that strategy created so many comers and goers. Once again, Goodyear deserves most of the credit. Moving forward, I think I'd like to see the option tire just become the tire at tracks like Phoenix. I enjoyed the strategy component. Do we use our soft tires now to get track position or stage points, or do we hold off in case there's a late race yellow? That wrinkle was nice, but there's still a strong luck element to it. Do you cross your fingers and hope for a late race caution, or if the race happens to run green, maybe your strategy is flawed? Putting on the softer tires for 40, 50 laps was such a tremendous advantage. I don't know. I think moving forward, I'd rather just have one soft tire that wears out, creates that tire management variable. I hope Goodyear was pleased with what they found today and can bring nothing but option tires to Phoenix this fall for the championship. I think that will make for a better championship race than we've seen in years past. Next, let's talk about some top finishers. Denny Hamlin finishes second. I loved that he got better throughout the race. Qualified 10th, I believe. Kind of ran around 10th for much of the early portion of this race. Earned some stage points, that's good, but the closer he got to the front, the more clean air he got on the nose of his number 11 car, the better he seemed to be. And when he got up there to second, third, the front row at the end, he looked just about as good as Christopher Bell, who I think we all thought was the dominant car. Really good sign for Denny Hamlin and his new crew chief, Chris Gale, who comes over from the 54. First non-super speedway, non-road course, a track that's kind of in Denny's wheelhouse, and they run top 5, finish second. Great start to that new relationship. A quiet day for Kyle Larson, but a really strong third place finish. Remember, he had 2 pit crew members missing this week due to the tire issue at COTA 1 week ago. Top 5 for Larson. I want to talk about these 2 Fords. Chris Buescher, top 5. Solid day for RFK besides Keselowski, who was caught up in a crash. Josh Berry in 4th deserves a special mention. This was the best non-drafting track performance I have seen from the Wood brothers in the Generation 7 era. Just proof that with a spec car, equal equipment across the board, the right driver crew chief combo matters. Josh Berry qualified 4th, ran top 5 in the early stages, then had a bad pit stop, fell back to 30th, dodged the big wreck, worked his way forward into the top 10, stayed on the same tire strategy as the leaders, never burned one of his option sets, and was in position to score a top 5 at the end. Started 4th, finished 4th. Best race from the Wood brothers outside of Daytona since the next-gen car was introduced. And Josh Berry, as well as new crew chief Miles Stanley, deserve a ton of credit for turning this program around seemingly overnight. Did anyone expect Josh Berry to be the best finishing Penske car tonight? I know I didn't. William Byron got trapped on pit road by one of the final cautions, but roared through the field to still finish 6th. I think he had a top 3 car today. Good rally from Alex Bowman to finish 7th. Outside of his debut way back in 2016, Phoenix has not been too kind to driver 48. Nice run today. Another top 10 for Kyle Busch. I think that's 3 in a row, right? 3 straight top 10s. Good start to the year for the RCR drivers. Zane Smith with a top 10. Nice. Chase Elliott top 10. Shoot, every time I looked up, he was like 17th. Good rally for Chase. Damn, all 4 Hendrick cars somehow, some way make it into the top 10 at the end. It felt like an off day for Hendrick outside of Byron, but lo and behold, there they are. Solid day all around for RCR. Austin Dillon finishes 12th. I'll mention Joey Logano, 13th. Best finishing Penske Ford. I know Joey Logano fans were upset by the early restart violation, but I don't know what to tell you. It was the right call. We can argue if the punishment fits the crime, though I'll note that Joey Logano stayed on the lead lap, but the actual call itself was black and white. Over the past few weeks, isn't that all we've asked from NASCAR is for less gray area calls? There are literal lines on the racetrack that Logano touched or crossed when he shouldn't have. It sucks. It's a harsh penalty, but it was the right call. He was able to rally to get back in the top 5, lead some laps with the help of an early option tire set. Unfortunately, that resulted in him being at a tire deficit towards the end. But I mean, look at Josh Berry. Like Joey Logano, Josh Berry got stuck back around 30th early in the race. But unlike Joey Logano and Paul Wolfe, Josh Berry and Miles Stanley didn't panic. They didn't rush to put on their first set of option tires. They grinded, stayed on the same tire strategy as the leaders, and it resulted in a top 5. Logano and Wolfe, I think, got a little jumpy, a little antsy, and burned one of their fast sets of tires a bit too soon. Still, solid result, led laps, not bad. I'll mention Ryan Preece as well, finishes 15th, another driver who went off sequence with his option tires a couple times, led some laps, got some good TV time, comes home 15th. Not pictured, but Tyler Reddick comes home 20th. I think he had a top 5 car, but battled power steering trouble late, also sped on pit road towards the end. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else I really want to spotlight. There are a few drivers that unfortunately had very disappointing days in the desert. We'll start with Daniel Suarez. The guy just cannot catch a break. He was off sequence with tires, so he probably wasn't going to finish 6th, but Daniel Suarez is running 6th late in this race. Really solid performance when he gets caught up in a Catherine leg spin. Which, side note, I kind of called this earlier in the week. No disrespect to Catherine Legg's credentials and her road racing experience, but I said it earlier in the week. She hasn't made a single NASCAR oval start in 7 years. She's got one oval race under her belt. It was an Xfinity race that she finished 28th in years ago. Why on earth did she choose this race in the slowest car in the field to make her Cup Series debut? She was just asking for trouble. She was okay most of the day, but looped it twice on her own, and unfortunately, the second mistake cost a top 10 finisher. I absolutely believe NASCAR needs to scrutinize their approval process more going forward, but for Daniel Suarez, just brutal. Brutal 3 weeks in a row. He comes home 23rd. Could have been worse, but it looked like he had maybe a top 10, top 15 run going before disaster struck. Man, that sucks. Ty Gibbs finished 25th. I believe he had a brake issue there in the closing laps. That's what set up the final restart. In the words of Charles Barkley, we need to start a dialogue about Ty Gibbs. Going back to the end of last season, it's been an utter disaster. Everyone knows it. Shoot, just a few seconds after he hit the wall, Fox already had this graphic prepared to show us how big of a disaster it's been. Add all that up, he has an average finish of 31st his last 9 races. That's a quarter of the season, going back to the end of last year. 31st place average finish. Actually, it's like 31.2. That's terrible. That's awful. Some of it's bad luck. Like the brakes blowing out with 10 laps to go, maybe that's bad luck. But he qualified 34th. That's not bad luck. That's lack of speed. That's miscommunication. That's an issue somewhere. he was at least partially responsible for the big crash midway through this race, sort of squeezing Haley and Briscoe. Not going to put that all on him before y'all Ty Gibbs fans start typing in the comments. I'm not putting that all on Ty Gibbs. They all kind of squoze each other there. 4 cars trying to squeeze into 2 lanes. But Ty was on the bottom and certainly opened up the wheel a little earlier than he probably should have. He shares in the blame. Just another bad day all around for Ty Gibbs, another bad result. I still believe in the guy's talent. Yeah, I know he was in one of, if not the best cars in Xfinity, but he won a lot of races, did some really impressive things, went wheel to wheel with Cup Series stars, held his own. He's good. He's got the talent. I just don't know if his head's in it right now. He's got a new crew chief, a rookie crew chief this year in Tyler Allen. Maybe they're not gelling just yet. Could be a lot of different things. All I know is I hope Ty Gibbs figures it out soon because while I don't think his job is on the line, his grandfather owns the team, there is still pressure to perform when you're in a Joe Gibbs Racing car. Made the playoffs last year. Folks expect him to win this year. Right now, I don't see any win on the horizon for Ty Gibbs unless they turn it around fast. Quick mention of Ryan Blaney, Team Penske, 7 straight top 5 finishes at Phoenix coming into this race. Had a top 10 car, maybe had a top 5 car on the long run. It seemed like he could make moves others couldn't. But in the second half of this race, he could feel the engine dying on him. Eventually, it did let go. Ryan Blaney finishes 28th. He had a 2.8 average finish in the next gen car at Phoenix coming into this race. By far best in the series. It's going to go up a bit, unfortunately, after what happened today, but the speed was there before the mechanical issue. Hopefully Blaney and Jonathan Hassler can at least sleep easy knowing that. And finally, one last negative, Spire Motorsports. Last week at COTA, it felt like Trackhouse was the team who had a big opportunity, big chance to have a huge weekend. That was Spire this time around. All 3 Spire Chevys qualified in the top 10. On a short intermediate oval? A year ago, we wouldn't have thought that was possible. But the speed did not last for long. Early in this race, McDowell and Justin Haley fell outside of the top 20. Hocevar was hanging in there, in and around the top 10. Clearly, that guy's got speed. But tire strategy put them behind. Haley and Hocevar, I mentioned, were caught up in the huge restart crash midway through this race. And Michael McDowell had multiple tire issues, I believe. Finished multiple laps down. Extremely disappointing considering how fast they were on Saturday. Still, maybe there's some positives to take away from this. Again, a year ago, Spire wasn't capable of putting their whole team at the top 10 at a place like Phoenix. Now they are. Baby steps in the right direction. Take that Saturday speed you've now found and try to translate that to Sunday performance. You got single lap speed. Can you carry that speed over a 40-lap run? That's the next task for Spire Motorsports. Baby steps in the right direction. So see, even when I'm talking about negative finishes, I like to look on the bright side. Moving in a more positive direction, why don't we put this race on the groovy gauge? If you watched my Wednesday night live stream from this past weekend, I predicted that this would be the most positively reviewed Phoenix Raceway Cup race in quite some time. And I based that on really the option tire. Creating more passing, more comers and goers, a softer tire, more wear. You'd see great drivers up front duking it out. That delivered. I did not expect a near photo finish, but all the passing, the strategy, that I absolutely expected, and I think that helped make this a great race. One of the best Phoenix races we have seen in quite some time. I'm going 85%. Maybe that's high. Maybe that's because the finish was thrilling. Maybe that's because recent Phoenix races have set such a low standard. But I truly believe this was a very, very compelling race. Strategy, the best cars finding their way to the front. I even mentioned like William Byron, huge setback late in the race, drove all the way up to 6th. The good cars, the great drivers could pass. We saw some big wrecks, some spectacle, obviously a shootout there in the final couple laps. I thought this was a fantastic race, and the option tires certainly had something to do with it. 85% for me. Let me know down in the description below if you thought today's Phoenix race was good. How did it stack up to recent Phoenix raceways? How did it compare to your expectations coming in? That's really what I want to know. I know expectations for Phoenix are down here. I think reporter Jeff Gluck noted this, that Phoenix did not announce a sellout today. That's the first time in a few years, spring or fall, that Phoenix Raceway has not sold out the main grandstands for a Cup Series race. I think it's a beautiful track, fun city, but the racing has not been great the past few years, so I understand why some fans wouldn't want to show. Maybe save your money for the finale if you're gonna go to one. Hopefully the quality of racing we got today will sell a few more tickets for the fall race, but time will tell. For sure this track needed a good race. They finally got one, in my opinion. That's gonna do it for me, folks. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. Really helps me out a ton. Subscribe if you're new to the show. We talk NASCAR every day, every week, all year long. Huge thank you to my very generous Patreon supporters for going above and beyond to support what we do. Have a great rest of your weekend, folks. I will talk to y'all again real soon. Thanks for watching, everyone.